And we start in Odesa, Ukraine, where some terrible stuff happened. Chaos and destruction have blossomed following Russia's recent withdrawal from the Black Sea Grain Initiative, which had allowed Ukraine to ship grain to the world as the war continued. While paralyzing global food supplies is clearly designed to give Russia some leverage in negotiations, the real-world effects are measured in human lives and mindless violence. In just 1 week, Russian attacks on port facilities and storage depots in Odesa and elsewhere have resulted in multiple deaths and the destruction of over 60,000 tons of grain, which, to put it in perspective, is enough to feed 4 million people for 1 month, or to make over 102 million loaves of bread, which is a lot, and also which probably would have been very welcome in Africa, where these nations especially rely on Ukrainian grain for up to, just imagine, 70% of their food security. So there will be too little grain for them, while there continues to be too many bombs in Odesa. So many, in fact, that these attacks also badly damaged the city's Transfiguration Cathedral, which is a 19th century landmark that had already been destroyed by, you guessed it, Soviets in 1936. The cathedral was under UNESCO protection, which is a lovely idea, but it is not under is the protection of a strong missile defense system, which Odesa and Ukraine need. So for now, this Russian culture of bombing and terror continues to destroy the real culture of Ukraine. The response from the Russian media has been sadly predictable, with human visuals Vladimir Solovyov and Olga Skabeyeva openly rejoicing the loss of human life and on the state Russian TV. Skabeyeva even went so far to say, "We are, of course, not aggressors, but we are pleased to see how we are striking retaliation strikes." Really? Retaliation strike? Against what? Wheat, corn, grain? To claim that Russia is not the aggressor in the situation, it just reminds me there are 3 types of people that I hate in this world. People who cannot count and hypocrites. Someone, maybe Ukraine, maybe not, responded swiftly to these attacks with the weapons that they had, launching drone attack on central Moscow. That blew the roofs of buildings surrounding the Ministry of Defense of Russia. But compared to what the Russian military is able to rain down on Odesa, one has to ask just for how long Ukrainians have to wait until they're given the ability to deploy long-range missile systems. I'll have that question there for Joe Biden, the UN, and NATO to answer. And we'll only add that while you're quietly debating, Ukrainians are loudly asking for the opportunity to have a fair fight. For our next piece, we turn our attention to sexy, sunny, semi-socialist Spain. España, te quiero mucho. After a major election turnout in Spain, the winner is no one. Yeah, that's right. Or left. Or, well, at the moment, no party has enough votes to actually govern. Many had predicted a handy victory over the current Socialist Party by Alberto Núñez Feijóo and the center-right Popular Party.
So it's very shrewd to be very, very popular, like me.
And in a super wicked plan, the Popular Party would have formed a coalition government with the extreme-right Vox Party, which advocates shutting down mosques and repealing laws that protect LGBTQ members, abortion rights, and the climate. But so far, the Popular Party and Vox don't have enough votes to form a majority, and I want to say to that, gracias a Dios no lo tienen, which translates as, thank God they don't have it, because I do not like them in a box, I do not like them in my socks, I do not like their right-wing talks, I do not like the party Vox. For the moment, this turn of events saved the world from Spain's first right-wing government since Francisco Franco's regime in the 1970s. In a statement, the ghost of Francisco Franco said, "You lazy bastardos, wake up from your siestas. Call out the military police. Blame the Freemasons and the Jews. Didn't I teach you that?" So, is there a pox on Vox? Has the right-wing grip on Europe been loosened? Has the political tide turned? Has the spell been broken? Can I use any lamer cliches? The answer to all these questions is not quite. The fact that Vox fell a few seats short of beating the socialists doesn't excuse the countries that have embraced the fascist clutches of the right, following in the good steps of Italy, Finland, Greece, and I say Hungary, where race-baiting strongman Viktor Orban continued to curb human rights, marginalize LGBTQ citizens, and kiss ass with the elite by magically turning public funds into private profits. Yay! Hysterically, Orban still lies to portray himself as a liberal friend of the working man. But I would say this next clip shows that no one is buying that story. Now, listen closely. In case you missed it, that was European Commissioner Jean-Claude Juncker welcoming Orban to a conference with the words, "Hello, dictator," and then slipping him upside the head. I'd say, if that's how you light up a room, then your cover is probably blown. And finally, Israel's so far right it's wrong government has just passed a reasonableness standard bill to exert control over its Supreme Court, which is the only institution in Israel that can challenge government rule. Now, basic political rule of thumb, when a bill says it's all about reasonableness, it's not. This bill allows Prime Minister Netanyahu's government more power to appoint any judges it likes, while denying the Supreme Court any power to declare any extremist, militaristic, or just plain dumb government decisions to be unreasonable. And that's just not reasonable. Up next, we say bye-bye birdie to an old friend. When you buy a company like Twitter and its value drops harder than a boulder on Wile E. Coyote, what do you do to stop the bleeding? Do you try to fix the constant outages and technical fuck-ups? Do you try to stop the storm of neo-Nazi and racist content? Don't be ridiculous. If you're Elon Musk, you just change the logo. Yes, Elon has decided to replace the instantly recognizable bluebird logo of Twitter with an X. That's right, the letter X. X, as in mass exodus of 100 million people from Twitter to Threads. X, as in Twitter's exactly 50% drop in ad revenue over the past 8 months. But who cares about that shit when you have a sexy new logo? So far, there has been no comment from the 24th letter of the alphabet about the change. But we at the European Edge think the following logos would have made much more sense for Twitter. Look at this: bold, symbolic, financial, or this classic update, or this winner that simply says, "I tanked a billion-dollar company. Ask me how." In a separate attempt to win public approval for the new logo, Elon Musk tweeted several messages. Dear X, you look like the cover art for a dystopian novel about the follies of a stoned egomaniac. And sizzle in a hizzle. One final note to Mr. Musk: it seems that your rival, Meta, already holds the copyright to X, so you may find yourself being sued by them, the estate of Malcolm X, or anyone who sends their kisses in capital letters. Fans of House of Cards and Usual Suspects actor Kevin Spacey, me, celebrated after the jury handed down a verdict of not guilty for the actor at the end of his weeks-long sex harassment trial in London. The 4 weeks trial revealed a number of intimate details about Spacey's private life, including that he had bought Dame Judi Dench, which I love, a ping pong table. Now, how could a man who plays ping pong with Queen Victoria possibly be guilty of anything? Last month, Spacey optimistically told Germany's Zeit magazine, "There are people right now who are ready to hire me the moment I am cleared of these charges." Anyone? Any takers? Anyone? Bueller? Bueller? Well, no one for now. But here at the European Edge, we will be waiting to see how things progress. Maybe even a new season of House of Cards is possible. Although we might suggest a less powered top ad campaign. Now, what is all the excitement in Johannesburg? Ladies and gentlemen, exciting news is that the who's and who of emerging nations, the developing world, or whatever we're calling it this week, are gearing up for their version of Paris Fashion Week, the 2023 BRICS Summit in Johannesburg, South Africa. For anyone who has absolutely no idea what goes on in the developing world, and let's face it, that's probably most of us, BRICS is an economic body made up of Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Every year, they meet up, and absolutely everyone is going to be there, darling. Everyone except that guy. Which is good news for this guy. That sexy bastard is Cyril Ramaphosa, president of South Africa. He is smiling like this because Vladimir Putin will not be attending the summit. Why? Does he dislike Vladimir Putin? Let's take a look.
Is a way to reach peace, and that's through negotiation and that's through diplomacy. Now, the key sticking point with that is that Ukraine...
Yeah, no, it looks like they get along well. The real reason Ramaphosa is glad his friend Vlad won't be coming is that if his friend Vlad did attend, Cyril would have a problem created by the International Criminal Court. You see, after formally issuing a warrant for his arrest, the ICC would really like to get its hands on Vladimir Putin. But how do you get your hands on the man? Not by inviting him to South Africa, that's for sure. You see, when one of the world's most prolific war criminals, Sudan's Omar al-Bashir, came to Johannesburg for an African Union summit in 2015, the ICC had issued a warrant of arrest against him too. And South Africa took bold, heroic, and decisive action by doing absolutely nothing. So, if history repeated itself and Vladimir Putin did turn up in South Africa and they didn't hand him over to the ICC, people might question whether South Africa is on the right side of history. This is something they've already been doing since Ramaphosa has refused to condemn the invasion of Ukraine. And that's not a joke. That's just a fucking sad fact.